Okay, good evening everybody. Welcome to the live stream. I'm just going to check the volume level. Somebody's just taxiing past here. They're almost drowning me out. So we're on the ground with the A320 in Microsoft Flight Simulator 2024. This is the stock A320. Should we just jump inside while we talk about this? So we're on the ground at Manchester in the stock A320 that comes with Flight Simulator 2024. And we're going to fly over to Oslo. So this is really a demonstration flight. Somebody emailed me and asked if I could just do a typical flight with the A320 that comes with the simulator and fly from A to B and kind of try to explain things along the way and work through a typical procedure. So first things first, I'm not a real pilot. So this is very much my understanding from things I've learned along the way and from watching the real pilots do it, and obviously reading and studying myself. So we'll have fun along the way, and I'll try to explain everything as I do it, what I'm doing, and we'll see how we get on. So it's going to be a night flight, which makes it more interesting, I always think, and it means I'm not fiddling with the time or the weather, so it's live weather, live time as of the time of recording, so it should be a fairly natural flight from A to B. So just before I started the stream, I went and turned the batteries and the external power on in the aeroplane. To do that, I looked overhead. So if we look overhead, you can see there's two battery buttons which I turned on, and the external power was available to me. It said avail on the button, so I switched it on, and that's all I've done so far. So we won't get much further with starting the aeroplane unless we walk around it outside. And first things first, we'll remove the chocks and we'll remove the engine covers, otherwise we won't be going anywhere. It always strikes me as a bit strange that the pilot is expected to do this in Flight Simulator, but with the stock aeroplanes you do. So there you go, we're just going to have a quick check. There's no covers on the pitot, so we'll go around the other side. No, there's no covers this side either, or on any static ports or anything like that. So, yep, it's all looking good. So press Shift and C, and we're back inside the aeroplane. I have got a flight plan that I'm going to be using, and it's from SimBrief. SimBrief is a free service on the internet which provides you with an operational flight plan. This is not the operational flight plan, this is a summarized view of some of the information from it. The actual operational flight plan is available as a PDF, and this is essentially the same as the piece of paper, or the raft of paperwork that you'll see the pilots carrying through the airport out towards the airplane in a nice neat folder, and then they lay it out across the glare shield while they're preparing the airplane. And many airplanes have a clipboard built in to hold it. But yeah, that's the paperwork that describes, most importantly for us, the route written in a standard format. So it's got the destination, the departure airports. The next piece of information here is the departure runway. Then you've got the expected speed and altitude, so flight level 390. Then you've got the standard instrument departure, then the first waypoint after it, then an airway, waypoint, direct to another waypoint, direct to another waypoint, direct to another waypoint, and so on and so forth, until we get to a standard terminal arrival route, so a sequence of waypoints that lead in towards Oslo in this case, aiming for runway 01 left at Oslo. So we can see that flight level 390 is also appearing here as the initial altitude. So we haven't got a step climb or anything, there's no slashes in here with numbers after them. So there's no step climbs involved. We're going straight to flight level 390 after we leave the standard instrument departure. It's worth pointing out both the standard instrument departure and the standard terminal arrival route, or SID and STAR, may have altitude constraints in them. They are easiest to see in Flight Simulator, in Navigraph. So I've loaded the route from SimBrief straight into Navigraph, and from there we can obviously see the airport we are at with a nice little chart. And these are Jeppesen charts, but they're not the real world ones. It says at the bottom, don't you dare use it. And then there's a standard instrument departure, and yes, you can see there are some altitude constraints on the way out. So we have to be between 4,000 and 5,000 feet at the pole hill. On the departure at this point, 12 miles from the pole hill VOR, and 8 miles from pole hill we have to be at 5,000 feet, and so on and so forth. So the aeroplane will do all of that for us. I'll explain it as we do it. If we look at the other end, Oslo, you can see we've got constraints here as well. Look, we're coming in, we have to be above flight level 120, and then so that's 12,000 feet. We have to be maximum 250 knots on the way in through Ripam, and then at 11,000 feet, at GM 410, and then follow it round with a maximum speed still at 11,000 feet, and then dropping down to 5,000 feet or above 5,000 feet at Valpu, and then we'll have the final piece of the route. And you will see in Navigraph it doesn't give you the approach, so it will load the route from SimBrief, but it won't tell you the approach. So we know we're going into ILS for runway 01. So Valpu is the transition, it automatically picks it up in Navigraph. So that's basically the connection to the route that you're on. So from the final approach to the route, so it will just join the dots up for us. So if we go and select the Yankee one just for the moment, it won't be so different than the Zulu one. Zulu just tends to be longer, so it might come out in a straighter line, but this is coming in, and then you can see it. And obviously now we've chosen an approach, we can actually see the approach chart as well. So you get to see the feathers for the ILS and the frequency and course for it. Anyway, let's come back to where we are. It's worth pointing out, having a look at that in Little Navmap as well. So I've got Little Navmap running. I've gone to File and Open from SimBrief, which has pulled it in. So we can see exactly the same route here. In Little Navmap, if you make this view wider and show the appropriate columns, you get to see all the same information. So it's not quite as obvious as in Navigraph, but you can see there's the star. So there's the various bits of the star. If we were to go over here, look, you'll see them circled as we've highlighted them here. And if we scroll back up, you can see there's the SID. And so if we were to double click on one of these, it will take us straight to it. So if you look on here and highlight all the bits of the SID, you'll see them all lighting up. And you can see the constraints are described to you here as well. Look, above 4,000, at 5,000, between 11 and 24 throughout the rest of the route, and then obviously there is no constraint there, so we go up to our cruise altitude by then, and then below 250 knots, altitude 12,000, and so on and so forth. So I guess the major advantage for most people is Little Navmap is free, but if you're wanting to get used to seeing real charts, then Navigraph is probably worth its weight in gold. Another way you can do it, which isn't quite so obvious, is go to planner.flightsimulator.com, and it should load in. There we go. And it's got a load of stuff from my previous flight in here at the moment. So what I'm going to do is go over to Little Navmap. Well, actually, no, let's do this from SimBrief. We're going to borrow this flight plan from here. And then we're going to come over to the flight planner in Flight Simulator. Oh, sorry, on the web, planner.flightsimulator.com. We're going to paste in our route from SimBrief. Okay, and save it. And it will draw it onto the map for us. And there it is, look. And then from here, the only reason I'm really showing you this is you can then go and see the charts in here as well. So if we go and look on Kneeboard, you'll see all of the charts related to this flight. Yeah, so you can see it's not the same style as the charts we were just looking at. So you can see there's the standard instrument departure. So these are the Lufthansa Systems charts that come with Flight Simulator 2024. And you can flick them between daytime and nighttime, so you can see them more like a piece of paper. They won't overlay onto the chart, onto the map in the same way that Navigraph will, but they're still just as good, you know, in terms of information they're relating. so you can use them as well, and they obviously come with the sim. So looking at this, like looking at our star coming into Oslo, you can see there's the same details we saw where we're coming in from Ripam, going around, and then coming into Valpo, and then in towards the airport. And if we go and look at the ILS, and there's that final part of the route, look, it's just drawn differently. Okay, so I guess the advantage of this system is we can save this flight plan and save new plan, and it will just save it into the internet for us, and we can then minimize that out of the way, get all this other stuff out of the way, and within the aeroplane now we can go into the flight planner in the tablet in the aeroplane, and we can click on route, and we can open from the web, and we can select the one we've just saved, and we've got exactly the same stuff now in the tablet in the aeroplane. And if you really want to cheat with the built-in aeroplanes made by Asobo and Inibuilds like this aeroplane, you can send your route to the avionics. I'm not sure if that works with the A320. I've not tried it and I'm not going to. But you can also go and see the charts in here. So you can go and see, look, there's our SID for runway. Which runway are we taking off on? Did I actually take any notice of that? 05. So back in the simulator, look, if you want to see the SIDs for runway 5, and that's the same things that we just saw. So various routes out away from Manchester. So it's interesting, isn't it, that you get all this for free. Not many people know that it's all in here already. Obviously, I don't think it's as easy to read because I'm used to the Jeppesen charts. So it's worth knowing, I guess, it's there though. So if you haven't got Navigraph and you're maybe on a console and you haven't got a little nav map, it's not the end of the world. You can still use these even on a console. So obviously you'll need a phone or a tablet or a computer to visit planner.flightsimulator.com to get your route, but then you can load it into the tablet inside the airplane. Okay, so we're not going to be using that. I'm just going to be tabbing backwards and forwards between various screens to do everything. So we've turned the batteries on, we've turned the external power on. I'm going to go back overhead and we're going to go and put the strobes to auto and nav and logo to 1 or 2, it doesn't really matter. APU section, the master switch is going to go to on, and then we're going to start the APU. So for those that don't know, the APU is the auxiliary power unit. It's a small gas turbine in the tail of the aeroplane, and it will be used by us to generate electricity and to generate, more importantly, compressed air, and that compressed air will be used to spin up the main engines. So we've just fired up the APU. It will take a while to come online. In the Airbus you don't have to worry about switching over to it, it's all fully automatic. So we'll just let it get on with doing that. And we'll go and turn on the crew oxygen supply and arm the emergency exit lights. Obviously don't turn them on, otherwise that will panic the passengers that are getting on. No smoking sign can go to auto, which means it will turn on automatically. And the ADIRS knobs overhead, so ADIRS Air Data Inertial Reference System. This is the system that tells the airplane which way up it is and where it is by measuring acceleration. So if your GPS was to completely fail, then at least the inertial reference system would have half a chance of telling you where you are, but it will lose accuracy over time. I guess quite famously, the first instance of this being used was on the Apollo spacecraft back in the late 60s. Okay, so that's ADIRS enabled. So back into the cockpit, we're going to check the brightnesses of the screens. They all look perfectly bright to me. I have got the dome light switched on. It's dark outside obviously, but over here you will see there's a dome switch. If we turn it off, it's going to get very dark. So I've left it on dim so you can at least see what I'm talking about as we move around the cockpit. Okay, so we've already programmed our flight plan with SimBrief, and now we're going to go and configure the airplane for it. So to do that, we can go over to the tablet, and if you haven't done it already, you can go into options and you can put in the ID of your user in SimBrief into here. So you can find that in the SimBrief website if you go to account settings, and then you'll find your pilot ID is on the account settings page. Okay, so I'm going to go back to view my latest flight plan, which is this one, because I need the information from it. So we're going to go back to the dashboard then, and then once you've got your SimBrief ID in, you can click on download from SimBrief. And there it goes. You can see we're going from Manchester, which is Echo Golf Charlie Charlie, to Oslo, which is Echo November Golf Mike. It actually means Gardermoen, which is the proper name of the airport, but I'm just calling it the city name because it's easier. Okay, we can pick up weather about the current airport, so we just need to put a ICAO code in. So this is the code for the airport for Manchester, and we click search and it'll go and fetch the weather report. We can see here the most important part for us is the wind is 050 degrees at 6 knots. Okay, and a QNH of 1022, so that's our barometric pressure to set up the altitude. But we don't worry about that just for now. We've just put the information up then for the flight details. If we now look in OFP, we can see the operational flight plan, and you can go up and down it with the buttons here. We can also go to payload, and we can pull the payload from SimBrief. So it's going to load the aeroplane according to what's on the load sheet and apply it now, and we'll say instantly to save us some time. So now we've got all of our numbers to program the FMC or flight management computer. Okay, and then we can go to the takeoff calculator and we can say sync the conditions to get the weather, and then we can say, oh, we need to put our weight in. I thought it would do that for us. There's various different versions of the Unibuilds aeroplanes, pull that or don't pull that. So if we go and look in payload, what we actually want is the live gross weight, which is 670. Yeah, oh sorry, it's 67. In terms of, if you think divide that by 1,000, it's 67. So we want to put in here 67. Press enter. Or do we need to put 0.0 maybe? And then calculate, and it should work out. There we go. So we've got the decision speed, the rotate speed, and the minimum flight speed. And then you've got the center of gravity and the trim. Those are the important things we're going to need to know about, unless the airplane will help us and do it for us. I don't remember if it does, but when we get there, we'll look at that. Okay, so over we go to the MCDU, which stands for Multi-Purpose Control and Display Unit. So this is your flight management computer, essentially. It's saying it's done a nav accuracy upgrade at the bottom. This is a message line, and we can clear that message away. And you'll see more messages are coming up. They are in a stack on top of each other, and we are burying down through the stack, removing the top one off the stack as we go. So we can get rid of everything. And then say we want to go to FMGC, which is the flight management guidance computer. It takes us, oh, we have to move the view slightly. There we go, wait for system response. So it tells us what version of the database we are using for the waypoints and everything. And then we can go and press init. And this is where we're going to program our flight. If we were doing it manually, we're not going to, because we've got SimBrief integration. We can just do an init request, and it will go and fetch it from SimBrief, which it has done remarkably quickly. Then we can go into wind, and it's already fetched the wind as well from SimBrief, so it did it at the same time. We can clear the message out again, and we go back to init. The important thing we do from init is go sideways to the next page, and this has got the fuel on it. So I think this has got integration here. So you can just go and select in here, and it will fill them in for you. You don't have to go and look them up on the tablet. And then we can clear that out, clear out the messages. And then after doing that, if we go and look in flight plan, you should see the major parts of the flight plan are already programmed. The standard instrument departure and the star and approach will not be programmed. So we have to go into, you select the line next to your departure airport, select departure, and you choose your runway first. So let's go and look on our flight plan. It's 05 left, and then the pole for Sierra standard instrument departure. So 05 left, And then if you can't see it, you can scroll. So the arrows, you're going to push the screen in the direction of the arrow. Pole 4S. Okay, and then insert that into the flight plan. So there you go, there's all the steps of the standard instrument departure, and it is busy calculating speeds and altitudes on the way out for you. The bottom line will always show you the destination, so if you select the line next to destination, you can then choose the arrival details. So at our destination, if we go and look, we're coming in 01 left at Oslo and the Ripper 3 Lima. So just check that again, 01 left. So if we go for Yankee 01 left and Ripper 3 Lima, wasn't it? So we're scrolling through and there it is. Select it and insert it. And that should have put everything in. So to check your route, you can switch the navigation display into plan mode. At the moment it's in arc mode, which puts your aeroplane at the top, at the bottom, and a compass arc around you. If you switch to plan mode, it puts your aeroplane in the middle. The range will allow you to change how much you're seeing around you. So say we went to 40 miles. So that you can see our standard instrument departure mapped outlook out towards Pole Hill. But the trick being here, while you're looking at this, you will notice that the center of the screen is the second line down that is highlighted in white on the legs page of the the flight plan page of the FMC or MCDU. We can then push these legs upwards, in other words, so the highlighted line is going to move down, and as we do so, the map will recenter on the second line down on the display. And by doing that, you can just keep pressing up to check through your route and make sure it looks broadly correct. There's nothing unexpected along the way. And that's exactly what we were expecting to see. Look, there's that arc we saw on the map, then turn in towards the airport and then straight in towards landing. So everything looks fine. To get back to the start of the flight plan, just press the flight plan button and it goes to the top of the flight plan again. Okay, then we go and rotate this back to arc mode and leave it there. Maybe bring the range back down for takeoff. And then we have final bits to do down here. So it was Alt and 2. I've mapped some keys to move me around the cockpit so I don't have to crane around too much. And last thing to do is go to the performance page. So I've got a comment on the live stream. Somebody is saying, "Hi Jonathan, you may be able to help. I'm doing a flight from Manchester to Innsbruck with Flight Aware. Does this work with the Xbox?" I don't think it does. I'm sorry. I think you need a plug-in. I think even with the PC version of Flight Simulator, you put a special plug-in, I think, in the community folder, which will communicate with Flight Aware and provide a bridge between the two. And therefore your location is transmitted to Flight Aware. I'm not sure if it's possible any other way. Anyway, so we can see we've got some numbers on the performance page, and we don't have anything to go and load the data. Therefore, we're going to have to go and find these out, unless if we go and have a look at the tablet again. I just want to see if there's a button to send the data to the FMGS. So there's the takeoff. Yeah, there it is. Look, send to FMGS. So if I press that, data sent to FMGS. If we look back over here now, confirm takeoff data has appeared. In other words, we don't have to fill all of this out anymore. We can press this and by magic everything's appeared for us. So we don't have to do it. So we can clear out the message at the bottom and we can say next phase, and then it will go through the phases of the flight and we can check how we want to climb. So we can reprogram the aeroplane to change its climb performance. There's our cruise data, so that's all looking fine. Next, descent. Next, approach. This has got things to fill out. We won't fill this out until we're in the air. So this is putting in the barometric pressure, the temperature, the wind at the destination, and the minimum altitude for your decision height. Okay, so we don't have to worry about that until we're closer to the destination. To get back to it, we just press perf and then go through the phases. The phases will disappear while we're flying, and we'll end up with just a perf and the approach, and you know, it will be minimized for us. Okay, so that's the flight programmed into the MCDU. Next thing we're going to do is, I'm just scrolling through my checklist that I'm following. It's worth pointing out, actually, I put a link to this in the notes of the video. I'm actually working through a functional checklist or procedure of my own design. If I go to, oh, I can't do it from here. Let me hold on a second. If I go to drive.google and I type in A320 and I want this one, I am working through this while I'm talking to you. So I am following the pre-flight procedures. We have just done the MCDU. And then we are now carrying on with the rest of this. So it tells me what to press, where to look, what to do as an aide-memoire. I've put a link to it. You can get a copy of your own in the notes of the video. So we're going to carry on. So I'm going to press shift and space to center our view. Now watch the altitude here. I'm going to press comma on the keyboard, and it's going to set the barometric pressure for me to 1022. It's just a bit of a shortcut that's quite handy. We're now going to go over to now in the Airbus, this panel is called the FGCP, the Flight Guidance Control Panel. In the Boeings they call it the MCP, Mode Control Panel. This is the panel that controls the autopilot. So we're going to turn on the flight directors. And that's essentially, in the Airbus, the flight director is the computer that figures out how to control the aeroplane to achieve the aims of the autopilot. So if we have a look, we've got or it might be the other way around actually, I can never remember. So having turned on the flight directors, you'll see some dots have appeared and a load of numbers have vanished off of the speed to go, the heading to go, but not the altitude. So we can go and set an initial altitude, and look, once we get into a few thousand feet, a dot appears here as well. What does this actually mean? This means managed mode. It means the aeroplane is by default making all the decisions, because we have a fully programmed flight plan and the inertial reference system is aligned. They've been on, and that took a while. Well, we set it instantly, but the gyros that tell the aeroplane which way around it is have all aligned and calibrated. Therefore, the aeroplane is quite happy to fly itself along our route. So as long as the flight directors are on, it will be able to fly the route on its own. If you don't want it to, you can click the bottom half of these knobs and you suddenly get control. If you want the aeroplane to do it, you click the top half of the knobs, which is the equivalent of pushing the knob towards the aeroplane. If you click the bottom, you are pulling the knob. So that's pulling it towards you. You make the decision. If you push it towards the aeroplane, it's the aeroplane makes the decision. And that works for the speed, the heading, and the altitude knob. Okay? So if you push them towards the aeroplane, they're telling the aeroplane, follow the flight plan. And the flight plan may say that there are altitude restrictions and speed restrictions, which means the aeroplane will change speed and altitude completely automatically on the way to the target altitude. You still need to set the target altitude. So for our purposes, we are going to go and set, actually we'll wait because I'm going to talk to air traffic services in a moment and we're going to get our clearance for our flight. So let's go do that now. We're probably going to be late leaving because I'm talking too much. So I'm going to pull up Say Intentions. I've got an extra running alongside the simulator, and what Say Intentions is doing is giving me artificially intelligent air traffic services to talk to, where I can actually talk to them and they'll respond back. And it's also injecting all the aeroplanes that you're going to see around us this evening. So they are the responsibility of Say Intentions. So not only will we see them, we will hear their crews talking to the tower and the tower talking back to them. So before we get started, we need to go to ATIS and find out what weather is being reported at the moment so we can communicate that on when we ask for our clearance.
Information echo.
And that's the important thing we need to know.
Manchester Airport. Information Echo. 2020 Zulu. Arriving runway 23 right.
And this is a repeating tape.
Departing runway 23
Or it used to be tapes years ago. It's
Wind
obviously
0,
digital
0,
these days.
5.
So we need to know
Visibility 10.
information echo. That's all we
Sky
need to
clear.
know. Okay, so after
Temperature 12. Dew
we're happy
16.
with that, we can get rid of,
QNH102.
well, we should be able to get rid of ATIS. There we go. I'm going to put us back on the radio check channel for the moment so we don't hear other people talking. And now we're looking for clearance, which we don't have, bizarrely. We've got centre, we've got many centres, we've got ramp, we've got sky ups, we've got common traffic advisory frequency, we've got ATIS, we haven't got clearance. That's interesting. I wonder if it just doesn't fit on the screen. Let's go and do an airport lookup and put in EGCC. Clearance, there we go, 121705. So, we can now go talk to clearance, so information echo, remember? Manchester clearance, EasyJet 073 requesting clearance to Oslo Gardermoen with information echo.
Clearance on request, you're number 1.
So if we go back to the ATC channel, we'll see the transcript of it saying things so we can read it back easily.
EasyJet 073, cleared to Oslo via the Pole Hill 1 Yankee departure runway 23 left. Initial climb to 5,000 feet, departure on 118.58 squawk 6677.
Cleared to Oslo via the Pole 1 Yankee departure, runway 23 left, initial climb 5,000 feet, departure 118.58 squawk 6677. EasyJet 073. So we need to go and double check this. This doesn't look the same. 23 left. No, it's changed. Look. So
EasyJet 073, read back correct. Ground is on 121.855. Safe flight, sir.
cool. We'll put our self back on radio check for the moment, so we keep the radio quiet. We need to go and reprogram our departure because it's wrong. They've changed. The tower has given us clearance on a different departure, so the wind is probably minimal and they've changed it. So we go and select the departure. We want 23 left and the Pole 1 Yankee, and insert that into our flight plan, and that will have wiped out the takeoff data because we're taking off from a different runway. So we're going to go and change this to 23 left, and we're going to recalculate and send that back through to the FMGS and go back to the performance data and confirm the takeoff data again, and then we can clear that message. Okay, so that's gone and reprogrammed the aeroplane to take off from the other runway and redone all of the wind calculations about taking off in the opposite direction. Okay, so we can now get on with getting the aeroplane ready until such point as we want to push back and start the engines. So Alt and 1 will take us overhead, and then we're going to go and tell the seat belts to go onto auto now. External power can come off. The APU's been running for ages. And we can release the parking brake and go for pushback. So in order to do that, we're going to go first of all to the ground page in here. We're going to remove the GPU from the aeroplane. I think we'd already removed the chocks when we were outside, hadn't we, and the covers over the engines. So we can control pushback in here actually. So let's have a look. Oh, we haven't talked to the ground yet, have we? So let's go and talk to ground then, and we'll have a look at the map just to reference it and see which way we're pointing. So we're up here. They're going to want us, our tail pointing, or well, they want us to face southeast, don't they? Manchester ground, EasyJet 073, requesting pushback and engine start.
EasyJet 073, push and start approved, face southeast.
There we go. They want us to face southeast, so our tail has to go to our left. Push and start approved, face southeast, EasyJet 073. So we're going to say go aft to begin with. So here comes the tractor. I'm going to remove the parking brake. And we'll hope that the simulator behaves itself. And it is, it's behaving itself for a change. So we want the tail to go left. We'll wait until we're a little way away. There's someone else waiting over there, look.
Arm doors and cross check. Welcome aboard.
We'll leave enough room for him to get by.
Fasten your seatbelts, ensuring they are fastened.
Pushback stopped. Parking brake back on.
Return your seat backs and tray tables to the upright position and open your window.
There's someone else pushing back right in front of us, look.
Mobile phones and electronic.
Okay, so we've been cleared for engine start. It's not too difficult in the Airbus, thankfully. If we look overhead, we have to turn the APU bleed on. We turn the beacon light on, which tells ground crew that the engines are about to come on. And then down here, I'm going to do this on my physical controls. I've actually got Airbus physical controls here, so I can turn. You're going to see this knob move. So I'm going to rotate it to start, and I'm going to push engine 2 forwards. Modern techniques say to push engine number 1 first, or the standard operating procedures of the aeroplanes is engine number 1, but it doesn't really matter in the sim. So you'll see over here, N2 is coming up.
Ryanair 29999, runway 23 left, taxi via Juliet Foxtrot, hold short of runway 23 right, then Foxtrot Zulu, Victor Tango.
Just wait for him to finish talking. So N2 is the speed of the axle through the middle of the gas turbine.
Via Juliet Foxtrot.
The introduction of fuel is fully automatic, and ignition is fully automatic on the Airbus, so you just flick the switch to start the engine and it looks after itself. We do need to set the flaps, but we won't do it until the engines are running, because the engines provide the hydraulic power as well. Okay, about 50-something% it will cut off, and that means ignition is finished and the engine's running itself. There it goes. So then we can start engine number 1. And we'll wait for it to start up. I'm not going to jump around the cockpit doing everything at high speed. I'm going to do one thing at a time so I can explain it as I go. You'll see a load of warnings have come up here. That's purely because this engine isn't running yet. They'll all disappear again in a moment. Oh, we haven't put the boost pumps on. This is because I've gone off script. So these are the fuel pumps for the engines. The engines, as you can see, will run without them. They are boost pumps. The engines have their own pumps, but then there are boost pumps. So the warnings have gone away, look. So it's worth keeping an eye on this. So if you do miss anything, as I just did with the fuel pumps, you'll see the messages for them. So there we go, engine number 2. You'll notice, so you've got exhaust gas temperature, and then you've got the speed of the turbofan. Because obviously turbofan engines, you've got a gas turbine and a great big fan on the front. Okay, so engines are up and running, and we've got a laundry list of things to look at, but before we do anything, let's go look up what flap setting we should have. If we go and look at the takeoff calculator, it will tell us flaps 1. So we move the flap lever to 1. We'll also see over here it says TCAS is on standby at the moment. We haven't set our transponder, which we're about to go do. So over here it said squawk 6677. So if we come over here and press clear twice, we can go 6677 and just check the knobs. So we'll put this on auto, leave that on 1, turn that on, and we're going to leave the TCAS off for the moment. This is the traffic collision avoidance system. So this is when the system will tell us when we are near other aircraft. I don't think it will operate on the ground automatically, because otherwise you just irradiate everybody nearby, because it uses radar.
November Charlie, November Bravo, Echo Quebec, Echo Delta Papa, hold short of runway 23 right, then Delta Zulu Tango.
Okay, so we can see predictive wind shear is off, that's down here. And you can see we've got predictive wind shear, we can choose system 1 or 2. We'll go system 1. We can also see it saying the ignition is still on. We can turn the ignition off now. We can also see it saying APU bleed is still on. We can turn the APU bleed off now. So normally you just do these things. I'm just showing you that you can relate it to what you're seeing. So APU bleed can come off. We don't therefore need the APU anymore. The engines are running. They are generating power for the aeroplane. So APU can come off. So looking down here, it says APU is still available. It's winding down as we speak. TCAS is on standby and parking brake. It's interesting though, if we look over here, we've got spoilers arm, so we need to arm the ground spoilers. It's saying signs in the cabin, they'll be done as we go out towards the runway. Auto brakes need to be on max, which we can do here. So this is like a little checklist, and the final thing you'll do when you get to the runway will be the takeoff config test. So that means just basically pressing this button here, and the aeroplane will do a self-check around all the things that should be in place, and if it comes up normal, then you're good to go. So let's go and turn the taxi light on, and then we'll talk to ground and get our clearance to taxi out to the runway. So we can see ourselves here, and we said we're taking off 23, didn't we? Is it 23 left? Yes, so we're going over to here just to give ourselves some bearings. So let's go contact ground. Manchester ground, EasyJet 073 requesting taxi to runway 23 left. So I'm guessing they're going to say Echo Papa Tango.
EasyJet 073 runway 23 left taxi via Echo Quebec, Echo Delta Papa, hold short of runway 23 right, then Delta Zulu Tango.
Taxi via Echo, then Papa, hold short of runway 5 left, and then Delta Zulu Tango for 23 left, 073. Now, will he pull me up on not being exact? Doesn't sound like it. So we need to go slightly to the right. So let's go face forwards. Head tracking on. We're going to have to go around this aeroplane that's directly in front of us. I hope that's not a human. If I press Control Alt N, no, it's not. I think I'm not sure I left multiplayer on, to be honest. Gonna have to go around him. And then we're off to the right side, won't we? We're going to have to play dodgems with a lot of the other aeroplanes, I think. Go around them. So we will be going this side. Let's have a look at our map. So yeah, so we're going to go... Oh, we are on the left side, sorry, yes. Echo. And then Papa. This is where we get to be nosy. Let's get rid of this out of the way. See what else is going on.
7066 contact tower on 118.63. Over to tower, easy 7066.
So this is the Builds version of Manchester, I think. I can't remember where I got it from now. It's the high definition version that was done very recently.
Ryanair 3539, runway 23 left taxi.
But as I said,
November Charlie, November Bravo,
the
Echo Quebec, Echo Delta, Papa, hold short of runway 23 right, then Delta Zulu, Tango.
The aircraft are being injected by say intentions.
Via November Charlie, November Bravo, Echo Quebec, Echo Delta, Papa, hold short of runway 23 right, then Delta Zulu, Tango Ryanair 3539er.
Tenix 1485, contact tower on 118.63.
Okay, so we're coming up to the right turn, which is where Echo moves over towards Papa. So if we keep an eye out on those yellow signs when we get close enough to read them, we should see Papa spearing off to the left. We can see it from here, can't we? Yep, so there we go. Look, Papa is to the left. That sign right there tells us as much. So we'll follow the lines to the best of our ability, which isn't great, because I'm not great at following the taxiways. And this is waiting to cross the runway. Are we all just waiting to cross? Looks like it. So we can cheat to an extent. If it's super busy, I know this is going to be a really nasty thing to do to it, but we can go to say intentions and reduce the amount of traffic, and they'll just disappear in a cloud of magic in front of us. You can see there are quite a few airplanes around, can't you?
Via Echo Quebec, Echo Delta, Papa.
Oh, there was somebody coming in.
Right, then Delta Zulu, Tango.
Somebody's just landed.
Taxi via Echo Quebec, Echo
And someone
Delta,
just taking
Papa,
off
hold short of runway
on the other
23 right,
runway.
then Delta Zulu, Tango Corendon 1617.
And now we're crossing, look. Well, that's the plan anyway. Hopefully you don't have to wait too long. So busy burning fuel while we're sat here. Now just about to take off, look, the one we just saw. I'm going to play plane spotters for a few minutes. If we can cheat, of course, if we go and look on little nav map, we can see the traffic. So if we go to Manchester and I turn on the simulated traffic. Oh, tools, connect to simulator. I was in X-Plane recently, so it doesn't know what we're doing. There we go. And then turn on the simulator. There we go. There's another plane coming in, look. That's why they're all waiting. He's just descending 560 feet, 540. So if we go and look outside, we'll see him. There he is. There's a whole queue of airplanes. Oh dear.
Runway 23 left taxi via Orange Zulu Echo Quebec Echo Delta Papa hold short runway 23 right then Delta Zulu Tango.
It doesn't animate the landings that brilliantly, unfortunately. Oh, they're all being given clearance to cross right in front of him. That's rather clever.
Delta Zulu Tango Air France 831.
So presumably I stop here. That's the clearance to stop on that taxiway. Or for the clearance for the taxiway, I mean, not the hold point for the runway. So it looks like we're at the next hold point. And he's overshot it.
Ready to taxi.
And there's probably someone else coming in now. Let's have a look on the map.
Runway 23 left taxi via Juliet Echo.
Yep, there is. Look.
Hold short of runway 23 right.
There's a Turkish Airlines coming in. He's at 1,000 feet and descending.
Runway 23 left taxi via
So we
Juliet
can
Echo,
go.
Foxtrot, hold short of runway 23 right, then Foxtrot Zulu Victor Tango E6779er.
And there he is. Whoops. There he is. Let me take my head tracking off for a moment. so we can see the queue of traffic coming in. We're waiting to get across the runway and we're having to wait for them to come in. Let's just check the volumes to make sure I'm not being completely blown away by the sound. Oh, it's quite loud, isn't it?
Ryanair 411 ready for push.
Ryanair 411 cleared for push and start.
So while we're waiting for this,
Ryanair 411.
we have a question from James in the live stream saying, do I prefer Airbus or Boeing? I don't really have a preference. I like most aeroplanes. Oh, there's a 7.4. No, is it a 7.4? No, it isn't. No, it's just a colour scheme. It's another A320, I think. Is that yet another aeroplane coming in behind him?
Ready to taxi.
Yeah, it is. And another one.
Ryanair 1126, runway 23 left taxi.
Hopefully
via
after
November
that
Alpha,
it's clear.
Echo Quebec, Echo Delta, Papa, hold short of runway 23 right.
So
then
I've obviously
Delta
got to
Zulu,
reprogram
Tango.
this as well. So select show departure procedures for
Runway 23
Manchester.
left taxi via November
We
Alpha,
are
Echo
taking off
Quebec,
23
Echo
left
Delta, Papa,
on
hold
the
short of
pole
runway
1
23
Yankee,
right,
aren't we?
then
So
Delta Zulu, Tango, Ryanair
insert that into our
1126.
flight plan. That's what we're doing. We need to do the same thing to Navigraph while we're waiting. So remove that. Okay. And select 23 left and the pole 1 Yankee out of 2 routes. There we go. So that's what we're actually doing. Any chance to clear this yet? No, we've got these 2 coming in and then we get to cross over.
1412 taxi to parking. Turkish 1412 taxi to parking via Bravo Delta Alpha Delta Quebec Echo November Charlie November Alpha.
Oh, yeah.
Alpha Delta Quebec Echo November Charlie November Alpha Turkish 1412.
It's worth saying this is all being made possible by Say Intentions, which is an absolutely amazing add-on for Flight Simulator. So all of the communications we're hearing is either real pilots flying within the simulator with us, or artificially intelligent pilots being injected into the airspace and on the ground around us. So everything we're hearing are the to and fro conversations that we are a part of. So it's like an interactive world. Just waiting for one more, I think, and then we get to cross over. It's a 7.3, but it hasn't got a proper livery. That's interesting. It's got the stock Boeing livery. It's rare that you see that. So what's the plane coming in? Should we go and be nosy and look on little nav map and see what he is? Ryanair 737. So when we look over here, we'll see the Ryanair colours when he comes past. And then hopefully we can all scoot out to our runway. So I'm being asked, does the handoff to VATSIM and vice versa work well? I haven't tried it. I've been really busy the last couple of months, so I've not really had much chance to play properly with the simulator and with Say Intentions. I've done odd flights with new airplanes, and I've dallied with X-Plane 12 from time to time, but I've not actually had a lot of time recently. So here comes, yeah, he's got the Ryanair colours, look, how cool is that?
Echo Zulu's orange, Seneca 90590.
And we're clear. So we'll hold short here. And we are asking for permission to cross 23 right.
Cleared for push and start.
Ryanair 073 requesting permission to cross runway 23 right.
EasyJet 073, hold short of runway 23 right, 737 on the runway.
Oh, is he actually? No, he's on the other runway, isn't he? Or is he on this one? Can we see on the nav map where he is? Oh, we just got to wait for this guy to get off the runway. That's not fair. The other guy was allowed. Look at the queue behind me. Come on, Ryanair. What are you waiting for? That's on the taxiway opposite. Oh, he's gone. Ground EasyJet 073 holding short 23 right, requesting permission to cross 23 right.
EasyJet 073, cross runway 23 right, then continue taxi via Delta Zulu Tango.
Crossing 23 right, then continuing via Delta Zulu Tango. EasyJet 073. Hooray! Run away, finally.
Approaching runway 23 right.
Ryanair 3751 ready to taxi.
Approaching runway 23
Tango, straight on.
EasyJet 073, contact tower on 118.63.
I didn't think we were going to stop then. Contacting tower 118.63, EasyJet 073. Tower EasyJet 073 holding short, runway 23 left.
EasyJet 073, Manchester Tower, cross runway 23 left.
He's got that wrong, hasn't he?
Corendon 1617, hold short of runway 23 right. Hold short of 23 right, Corendon 1617.
Tower EasyJet 073 holding short at Tango for departure from 23 left. If they've changed the runways again...
EasyJet 073, runway 23 right, line up and wait.
I am cleared for departure from 23 left, not 23 right, 073. Go all the way back to our clearance and have a look. Runway 23.
EasyJet 073, runway
left.
23 right, wind 060 at 6, cleared for takeoff.
They've got it completely wrong, haven't they? Negative, tower. EasyJet 073, we are cleared for 23 left, not 23 right.
Runway 23 left, line up and wait.
Line up and wait, 23 left, 073. Okay, we're going to ignore this airplane in front of us and fly straight, or drive straight through him. He's probably disappeared behind us, to be honest. I know St. Engines is under continual development, which is why you sometimes get these anomalies, which I'm completely forgiving of, because when it works well, it works brilliantly and it's so immersive. So I'm willing to forgive them the odd hiccup, because what they're doing is amazing, really. Okay, so we were told to line up.
Approaching runway 23 left. On runway 23 left remaining.
Okay, parking brake back on.
300 feet.
We're going to go and put TA mode on, which means we're transmitting our position. We're going to go and put the landing lights on.
9,200 feet.
We're going to put the strobes to fixed on. We're going to put the nose to takeoff. We're going to have a quick look down here. Takeoff config test needs to happen, so we'll press takeoff config test, and that's all happening. So we're ready to go. Manchester Tower, EasyJet 073, lined up runway 23 left.
EasyJet 073, you're cleared for takeoff from runway 23 right, not 23 left. Confirm runway 23 right for takeoff.
You just gave us taxi instructions to 23 left, 073. Tower, EasyJet 073, departing runway 23 left. Let's see what they say. It's gone a little bit wrong. Okay, here comes the rotate speed. Gear up. And throttles can come back to the... Actually, no, they're not going to the climb descent just yet.
Ryanair 5 Tango Tango, contact ground on 121.855.
Autopilot's on, it's going to go for an even steeper climb.
Jet 073, contact departure on 118.58.
Contacting departure 118.58, EasyJet 073. Departures EasyJet 073, climbing to 3,000 feet.
EasyJet 073, departure identified, climb 5,000.
Climbing 5,000 feet, EasyJet 073. So I've just rolled that round to 5,000 and pressed it towards the airplane. You can see the target altitude is shown here. We've switched the autopilot on, so the airplane's following the track now all on its own. So we'll just follow the clearances. The airplane should follow the instructions now. So it was worth pointing out, as we were accelerating out, I left the throttles all the way forwards until we started to accelerate closer to 200 knots, and then I pulled the throttles back to the middle setting, the climb detent, which the auto throttle won't work unless they are on the climb detent.
Climb flight level 220.
Climbing flight level 220, EasyJet 073. So they're telling us to go, basically. Now on departure, if they tell you to go to an altitude, you can pretty much disregard any constraints you have. So we're going to pull this towards ourselves, which will do an open climb, which means the engines are now going to accelerate and the climb rate's going to go up, and it's going to disregard any constraints, and it's going to go straight for the target altitude. Okay, so let's have a look at the live stream comments now we have a moment to do this. So Lucas is saying, I have some problem with fly-by-wire base models and the injector. When I start up injector, it says could not find community folder, enter full path. That's a good question. So yeah, it's just got the wrong path to your community folder, that's all. So you'll have to reconfigure the injector to be able to find your community folder. So we've gone through the QNH. That's interesting, that's not flashing. It should be. So we need to pull that for standard QNH, because we're through the transition altitude already, which was 6,000 feet. I would have thought we should have... Oh, is it just a box around it? I can never remember from one aeroplane to another what it does. So we're about to come through 10,000 feet, at which point the landing lights go off.
EasyJet 073, climb flight level 270.
Dear guest,
Climbing flight level 270, EasyJet 073.
now permitted in flight mode. Our cabin service will begin shortly. Thank you for your attention.
Okay, we can increase the range now on the navigation, and now we're away from the airport as well. Let's go and turn this to TARA mode. So this means that we are not only transmitting our position, we are receiving the position of others, and the autopilot can take evasive action automatically. So if an aeroplane comes within this dotted range, the aeroplane will take evasive action. Now we have a discontinuity. There we go, look, we changed the runways round, remember? So let's go and clear that discontinuity out before we get to it. Otherwise the aeroplane will run off the end of its track in the sky. I should have really checked that when we swapped the runways round. We can see on the navigation display it's anticipating the point at which we're going to reach our target altitude. So at the moment that's 270. When we get cleared for higher and we dial it in, you'll see that move. So if I move out to 80 miles as the range, so there's Manchester behind us, so we took off, did a U-turn, and then we're flying up. So if we go and look on the map, we can see that that has happened. Where are we looking? That's the flight sim flight planner. This will show us it. There we go, look. So we took off from Manchester, right turn, climbing, right turn, and now we're off towards the Pole Hill VOR, and then out over the ocean, the North Sea, towards Europe, mainland Europe. I think the terrain works in this, so you should see the coastline. Famous last words. Maybe it doesn't. Or maybe I need to increase, or maybe it only works on...
073, climb flight level 340.
So you'll get to see that working now. If I go and set this to 80 miles, watch the top of the top of climb marker, 340. Climbing flight level 340, EasyJet 073. So you can see that has moved out further away from us, because obviously it takes longer to get to that altitude. So I'm being asked, am I on the beta? Or beta, depending on...
Contact London Control on 133.6.
But I'd better do that first. Contacting London Control 133.6, EasyJet 073. London Control, EasyJet 073 with you, climbing to flight level 340.
EasyJet 073, London Control identified. How do?
Is this like, what was the Hale and Pace sketch years ago? Is it the Yorkshire airline or something? Oh no, they said A up, didn't they? I'm not going to do the accents because I don't agree with doing that sort of thing. I don't think it's fair. So, I was answering questions. Am I on the beta? No. I never use the beta version of Flight Simulator or anything really. I always use the release versions. So Mr. Seasby is saying, I love the AI ATC took you to the wrong runway. Yeah, it's... Say Intentions, they will freely admit they are on the bleeding edge of AI and they are really pushing it. And if anybody that works with AI knows about these vagaries, and you often get
level 390.
climbing flight level 390, EasyJet 073, you often get these inaccuracies, and obviously they're fighting tooth and nail to stop it from doing it, but it's really tough. So that's our cruise altitude, so that'll be the last we hear until we are crossing over into another area. Do we get a moving map on this aeroplane? I don't think we do. That's a bit of a shame. We can do it with Navigraph though. Let's go, and if you zoom out far enough you'll see the sectors. There they are. So we should get another sector change as we come through this dotted line. You can see them in little nav map as well actually, if you weren't aware of this. If you click on the little circular icon up here, it will draw all of them in. You can filter them down to say what sectors you're interested in, but I don't mind seeing all of them. But you'll see that we're about to go through between London airspace and... oh, it's still London. But then as we... yeah, if we zoom out far enough, look, you'll see there's another one here. So that's Scottish airspace that we'll cross into when we go through that line. And then over here it will be the Polaris airspace. And that is still, if you just click on the map, it updates this display and tells you where you are looking at. What makes it quite difficult on a two-dimensional display is obviously airspaces are three-dimensional, and several of them are stacked on top of each other normally. So that's why you're seeing multiple bits of data here. So yeah, if you look here, look, there's the Polaris, and if you look at the altitudes, from 0 to unlimited is Polaris. From 2,500 feet to 21,000 feet is the Oslo TMA. And above that is the Polaris. So it's at the point I clicked. It's interesting, isn't it? So you get these stacked a three-dimensional structure of sectors that can sometimes be quite complicated. I mean, look at this round here, look. There's the city of Oslo. If you click over it, you've got the Oslo TMA from 3,000 to 21,000 feet. Oslo 2. Minimum altitude 0 needs authorization. It's interesting, isn't it? So that'd be for helicopters, I guess. Or for light aircraft, but you'd have to get specific permission to fly over the city. So why did I go Toga rather than Flex? Just force of habit, I'm afraid. Okay, we're on our way out. If we go and look in the aeroplane, you'll see there's nothing much to see now. There is other traffic showing up on the navigation display. We won't know much about them unless they cross within our traffic collision avoidance system circle. If we reduce the range on this, we'll see it. Look, there it is. If they fall within there, the alarms will go off. And the aeroplane will likely bank away from them, or depending on the orientation of where you are to the other aeroplane that you're near, one or other of you will turn and ascend or turn and descend. I forget how the logic works for that. You'd have to look it up. So being asked, does the Inibuilds / Asobo A320 version 2 that we're flying, Does it match the Phoenix and the fly-by-wire, or is it not as good?
Jet 073, direct Lamro, then is filed, please.
Direct Lamro, then as filed, 073. So, where is Lamro? Is it on our route? Yes, it is. So we go direct to Lamro, and then select it again, and we are cutting part of the route out.
908 Quebec, Tango contact, London control on 133.6.
Wonder why they've done that.
133.6 for Blue Max 908 Quebec
Is
Tango.
it
Good day.
to avoid... No, there's no aircraft there. They've just cut a corner off. Oh, they just, instead of going via Medjack, they've... I wonder why. Why did they choose? Because that's such a slight difference to go direct Lamro from where I am. Rather random. I know that Say Intentions have been implementing instructions en route. But yeah, I'm guessing sometimes it's best just to do what it says and worry about it afterwards. Okay, let's go and increase the range on the navigation display then, so we can see Lamro out ahead of us. So it's quite a long way, isn't it? Yeah, 240 miles out in front of us. Arc mode, and do the same on the co-pilot's display. Should we turn the lights down? That's a bit too dark, isn't it? Yeah, you want to be able to see what we're doing. I mean, in the real world, you would turn it all down and dim everything down, but we're not in the real world. Okay, so having a look at the FMC, oh sorry, not FMC, I got it wrong, didn't I? MCDU, MCDU as the Airbus guys call it. You've got an estimated fuel on block, so this is how much the aeroplane thinks it's going to have when we get to our destination. Notice you can go sideways on this screen, so at the moment we're showing speed and altitude. If we go sideways, you can show the burn down on the fuel and the winds along the way that we're expecting to experience. Otherwise, you get to see the times at each point along the route. So we're expecting to arrive 23:34, and that's the speeds we're anticipating. So if you're in managed mode, these are the target airspeeds, and if you're in managed mode, these are the target altitudes. Because it's quiet and at night, I'm fully expecting Say Intentions not to make us do anything too complex, so they may vector us straight in when we get to Ripam. Let's wait and see what happens. They may push us straight across to here. That's going to be quite difficult to achieve though, or they might not though, because of the sector there over Oslo. There's a chance they could vector us around Oslo, I guess, and come in the other way, or just straight line it up the side of Oslo and then turn in. Let's wait and see what they do. They may make us fly the full star, who knows. I've just very commonly seen it. If we're late at night and there's no other air traffic around, they will quite commonly vector you straight in. So let's turn the sectors off in the nav map. It looks a bit messy, doesn't it? Okay, I'm just checking around things to make sure everything's in the right place. There's no alarms going off. Have a look overhead, make sure nothing looks untoward. No, it all looks good. The general convention on the Airbus is dark is good. So things will light up to bring attention to themselves. So dark is good. So let's have a look around some of these systems to explain them as we go.
EasyJet 073. Good evening. Flight level 340 for flight level 390.
So why did Amanda suddenly chirp in?
EasyJet 073, Scottish Control identified. Good evening.
So she preempted moving into Scottish Control. So in other words, instead of us being handed off by London Control, that's new. How close were we to the border when she did it? Let's have a look and put the sectors on. We weren't. We've done it early. We're still in London Control. I've noticed that a few times recently. I'm not sure if that's a nice feature or something I don't like. So yeah, something else that Say Intentions does is gives you the option of having cabin crew and co-pilots and things like that that you can talk to. So we can talk to Amanda. Say, hi Amanda, how do you think the flight is going so far?
It's going smoothly, Jonathan. We're on track and everything's looking good.
Why did you contact Scottish Control before we had flown into their sector?
We contacted Scottish Control because we're flying in their airspace now. It's standard procedure to switch to the appropriate control as we enter different airspace sectors.
We are not in Scottish airspace yet.
We're currently in Scottish airspace, Jonathan. That's why we're talking to Scottish Control.
No, we're not.
Ryanair 2 Whiskey Juliet, descend and maintain flight
Not clear
level
what you said. Say
240,
again.
cleared for the AGP 1 Echo arrival into Edinburgh.
She hears what she wants to hear. Let's go and ask the cabin crew. Hi cabin crew, can we have some coffee in the cockpit please?
For the AGP 1 Echo arrival into Edinburgh, Ryanair 2 Whiskey Juliet.
Understood, Captain. We'll bring coffee to the flight deck now.
1558,
Maybe the map here, little nav map is wrong.
Cleared for the Pole Hill
Let's
1
go and
November
have a look.
arrival into Newcastle.
Is
Down to
okay.
level 350. Cleared for the
No,
Pole
look,
Hill
this is
1
London.
November arrival into Newcastle, Air France 1558.
Scottish Control, Ryanair 6228, flight level 340.
And they're Scottish. There's the line.
Ryanair 6228, radar contact. Blue Max 8 Sierra Papa, descend and maintain flight level 240. Cleared for the Impipe 1 Echo arrival into Edinburgh.
Let's have the argument with Amanda.
240. Cleared for the Impipe 1 Echo arrival into Edinburgh, Blue Max 8 Sierra Papa.
Hi Amanda,
Blue
I'm
Max
sorry to
8
correct
Sierra
you,
Papa,
but the
contact
Scottish
Scottish
Control
Control
airspace
128.055.
doesn't begin until just south of Newcastle on the ground, and we are still way further south than that.
Scottish Control, Blue Max 8 Sierra Papa, flight level 270.
Jonathan, we're currently in Scottish Control
Blue Max
airspace
8
due to
Sierra
our
Papa,
altitude
radar
and flight
contact.
path. Airspace boundaries can differ at
Air
higher
France
altitudes.
1558, contact London Control on 130.9025.
Okay, I'm going to let her go with that one.
130.9025, Air France 1558.
Air France 1558, contact Scottish Control on 128.055.
Look, London,
128.055
Scottish.
for Air France 1558. Good day.
I think there may be a bit of a fault in their map there somewhere.
Control on 134.755.
134.755, go Air France 1558.
Okay, so if we're at high IFR here, let's go and switch this to the lower IFR low. Same. IFR high. Same.
Captain, the coffee is being prepared and will be delivered shortly.
LE5259, contact Leeds East Radio on 120.71.
I'm not going to worry too much. We're really splitting hairs going for things like that, aren't we? And it's so difficult because, for example, the even the, how would you put this? The terminology used and the phraseology, sorry. The phraseology used around the world for air traffic services differs. So the likes of Say Intentions and Beyond ATC, they are really fighting to try and make it localized with the use of language as well, which is really tough. Because the to and fro, the workflow of the conversation in different areas of the world with air traffic services is different.
133.6 for Ryanair 2 Whiskey Juliet. Good day. London Control, Ryanair 2 Whiskey Juliet. Flight level 350.
Ryanair 2 Whiskey Juliet, radar contact.
Something we could set up is to have a mentor in the cockpit, and then we could go and ask them the question. What can we do? Have I got enough bandwidth to go do that in terms of buttons that I can hook up? So I've got that one and that one and that one. If I go to intercom and I say, instead of the passenger PA system on number 3, I want that to be the mentor, and I want him to be, we'll go with Chance from Real Sim Gear. He's got an easy to listen to voice, and we'll close that.
EasyJet 073, contact Scottish Control on 133.2.
Contacting Scottish Control 133.2. See, this is correct. Scottish Control, EasyJet 073 with you, flight level 390. Or climbing to flight level 390.
073, Scottish Control identified, welcome.
See, that made sense. So what she did on the radio was wrong. Because if you look on the map, we've just crossed over into Scottish airspace. Funny that.
129.505 E Blue Island 3772.
So yeah, Island Flyer in the live stream is saying, should she not have waited for the handoff? I think she should, and I think that was a minor blip in the code where she got a bit eager and jumped in. And again, this is an interesting one because I have not told her to initiate radio communications. Or I have not instructed the co-pilot, let's put it that way, to do that. And I've noticed that a few times recently, so that it may be there's some changes coming from Say Intentions to make the co-pilot more, what's the word, have to have more initiative.
Level 270. Blue Max 8 Sierra Papa radar contact.
It would be cool if the co-pilot did have some initiative so they could do things without you asking. So you could have the proper the teamwork between the pilot and the co-pilot. And you can with Say Intentions to an extent with procedures. So you can have one of you, or you can have the co-pilot reading it while you do it, and then you obviously confirm you've done each step, and they'll move on to the next point. So you can script all of those sort of things, and you can submit those scripts into the system yourself to have your own custom procedures. So, because obviously most airlines have their own standard operating procedures. So, you know, the exact way that an aircraft is handled will be different from airline to airline. I was going to try out, can we talk to Chance on this channel?
As your flight instructor, I'm right here. Let's focus on the flight and any questions you have about aviation or ATC communications.
There we go. So,
Control, KLM 635.
We'll wait for a gap in the radio comms, and then we'll ask Chance all about it.
Control on 128.055.
Begin the snack and beverage service. We have some popular
Switching to Scottish Control.
Okay, so we're at cruise. We can go and turn the seatbelt sign. Oh, it's on auto anyway.
After the service, selected items from the EasyJet shop will be available for your convenience. Thank you for your attention.
Hi, Chance. Am I right in thinking that the line between Scottish and London airspace is the same line at all altitudes?
That's a great question. The boundary between Scottish and London airspace is defined by specific lateral limits, but it can vary at different altitudes. Always refer to the latest aeronautical charts for the exact boundaries at your current altitude.
Ryanair 2 Whiskey Juliet. Flight level 320.
So if the chart doesn't show an obvious change for a different altitude, then it's the same line all the way, but from the ground to an infinite altitude.
You're correct. The airspace boundaries generally remain consistent vertically unless otherwise specified. Always refer to your charts for any specific altitude changes.
There we go. So, looking at this, there's nothing there saying that it's massively different. These are not to do with us.
Ryanair 2 Whiskey Juliet, contact London Control on 133.6.
Switching to London Control on 133.6. Ryanair 2 Whiskey Juliet.
Hi Chance, there are areas on the aviation chart with a not SP written on them. What does that mean?
The not SP notation on aviation charts indicates that the area is not suitable for special use airspace. This means that you should be cautious and aware of the airspace restrictions in those regions. Always refer to the latest charts for specific details.
I know a lot of this area is like military flights and dogfight practice, things like that. So, yeah. Because all the fighter bases are up this side of the coast, aren't they? Like Coningsby and... Can we see them? I can never remember how far up they are. There's Coningsby. Yeah. And then Lakenheath and Mildenhall are down here. Mildenhall's where the US Air Force has some of their fighters. But I think they truck out to out here to do their dogfight practice.
Flight level 220.
So obviously they're not going to do dogfighting over the land. They'll fly out here. Anyway.
Ryanair 2 Whiskey Juliet, flight level 280. Ryanair 2 Whiskey Juliet, radar contact.
But that's one of the nice things about Say Intentions is you have this idea of other characters in the cockpit or available on the radio to you. So you can ask questions while you're in flight and get answers, which is really cool. Well, I think it's really cool. So we're approaching Lamro. Shall we have a look from outside?
Scottish Control, fueling 4205, flight level 330. Fueling 4205, radar contact.
Did we get any control over the strobing of the nav lights? No. If we put that on auto, it shouldn't do it, should it? No, it's still strobing. Okay. Okay, I'm just wondering if we go and look on, yeah, top of climb is here. So if we go and scroll through our flight plan, it hasn't got top of descent. Oh, something, while we think of it, while we're looking here, if we go to performance, oh, it won't have top of descent because we haven't put a target altitude in yet. Oh, it's gone and done that. We had something go wrong with the airplane on departure, and it's gone into go around mode. And if it does this, you've had it. You can't get out of it. That's interesting. I wonder what caused it to happen. Which means we can't put our performance data in. I wonder if there's a way we can hack it. Oh, they haven't implemented messages, that's a shame. We haven't got a cost index, that's interesting.
Hi, Captain Jonathan. Would you like anything to drink or a small snack?
Sim brief. No, thank you. Sim brief.
Copy, Captain.
Oh, we're in the wrong browser, that's why it's not showing up. How did we manage to lose the flight plan? View the current flight plan. What was I good? I've forgotten what I was looking in here for now. The cost index. Should have been 31. No, that's the cruise profile. Yeah. Cost index, sorry. 3.1. And we can't do it while we're in flight. That's interesting. It should have picked that up. I have a horrible feeling. I've seen this once or twice before where it goes into go around mode. Oh, but once it's done that, you've had it, you can't get out of it, which means you can't put your destination data in. CPDLC isn't on this version. The Phoenix has got it and various other third-party airplanes have got it. So Island Flyer in the Livestream chat is asking about this feature of the MCDU called CPDLC. What it means is for sector changes and things like that, the air traffic services can communicate them via the MCDU, and you see the message come in and you can confirm it, and without having to actually talk to air traffic services. So it cuts down on the amount of talking that has to happen over the radio, because there's this whole problem with radio where if you've got too many people in the airspace, waiting turn to talk means that you can significantly delay instruction sometimes. So if there's another method like a back channel, and that's what CPDLC does. I can't remember exactly what it stands for. Let's ask Chance, he'll know. Hi Chance, what does CPDLC stand for? He's having a long think, isn't he?
CPDLC stands for Controller Pilot Data Link Communications. It's a system that allows pilots and air traffic controllers to communicate via text messages, which can enhance safety and efficiency, especially in busy airspace. It's a great tool for modern aviation.
There we go. So I'm just going to look up alongside what we're doing here and see if there's a way out of the go around mode. So bear with me. I'll just move the view while we're flying along.
Scottish Control, Eurowing 7364, flight level 340. Eurowing 7364, radar contact.
Okay, so there might be a way of doing this. I've not tried before. I'm going to look this. I'm going to work this through, and it will either work or it won't. So if we activate the approach phase, then we get this back. Okay. So when GA mode is triggered, this is another way of doing it. Oh, so we may have already messed it up really. Your flight plan usually jumps to missed approach. Lateral revision, go to your flight plan page, direct to check, yeah, so you can do it. I wonder, can we just reset the system?
Air France 3834, direct final. Cleared for the ILS runway 09 left approach, descend and maintain altitude 3500 feet until established. Altimeter 1025.
Down to 3500. Cleared for the ILS 09er left approach. Air France 3834.
I think that might have worked. We just hacked the system completely and utterly. Although no, it still thinks we're in... No, it may work. We'll try it. So we'll go and fill in the data for the destination. We're in uncharted territory now though. So information, open airport for Oslo. Go to weather, and we want first of all the QNH on the ground is 1016 Oslo. 1016. Temperature on the ground is 2 degrees centigrade. And the wind is 350 at 7 knots. Okay, and the decision altitude, if we go and look at the runway 01 chart, it will say down here it's 100 feet. If we have a radio, we do, it's going to be 100. You can't use both, you can only do one or the other. So this basically says it's 100 feet if you've got radar altimeter, or it's 757 feet if you've only got barometric altimeter. So that's obviously above sea level, this one's above ground level. And that will tell you that the ground's at 650 feet above sea level, which we can probably find on here somewhere. The runway elevation. There you go, 650. Okay, so that's done. So if we go and look at the flight plan now, do we need to reprogram...
Control, Finnair 4667, flight level 320.
Arrival.
Finnair 4667, radar
So we want 01 ILS 01 Yankee, and we want the Ripper 3 Lima, wasn't it? So ILS Yankee 01, and then Ripper 3 Lima. Insert, just to make sure it's got it all. Let's go and have a look at it. Yeah, that is fine. Okay. Yeah, I've seen that happen a couple of times with this aeroplane where it's gone into go-around mode. Not entirely sure what causes it. So does that mean they've hardwired into this version of the Airbus that if you press the throttles all the way forwards to toga, it thinks it's a go-around, even on takeoff? I'm going to check this out. Yeah, there seems to be a bug in the aeroplane. It should have been in takeoff mode, not go-around mode. And I wondered what was going on when we took off and there was like a juddering sound. Because that shouldn't have happened. For go-around mode to engage, two conditions must be met. The flaps must be at flaps 1 or greater. The thrust levers must be moved to the toga detent. If you are in a clean configuration, flaps up, and you move the levers to toga, yeah, it sounds like a bug in the aeroplane.
Scottish Control, get jet 5190, flight level 340.
Scottish Control, wide row 1693, flight level 220.
Okay. So we've got a little wait until we get to where we're going. I'm just looking on the map. It's not marking top of descent, is it? Which is interesting. It should be. Because if we go and look through, you'll see it starting to descend. Look, after somewhere between Pigav and Ripam, there should be a top of descent marker. And it hasn't got one. Presumably because this has messed up. Let's go and double check. The flight directors are on. So it's in managed mode. Which should have given us top of descent, and it hasn't. Interesting. In which case, it's not the end of the world. What we can do is... This is going to be interesting. I'm just going to check something. No, you can't draw range rings. I was wondering if we can draw range rings. You can in Boeings, you can't do it in the Airbus. What we can do though is if we don't know top of descent, you can see it's marked in here. We have to go and choose the correct aircraft performance file in a little nav map. But I'm going to show you another way as well. So if I go in here and go to airliners and Airbus A320, then it will work out we should start descending, yeah, halfway between Pigav and Ripam. But the other trick you can do, which is a kind of a bit of a thumb in the air, we're at 39,000 feet. So to get down to zero Or actually, we don't need to know that, do we? We need to know the first controlled or constrained altitude on our descent, which is Roxim. So above 120 at Roxim. So, or 12,000 feet. We're at 39. So 27,000 feet to lose, and we need to do so. How long does it take to descend 27,000 feet? So for each 1,000 feet you need 3 miles in a typical glide with a typical airliner. So 27 times 3, which I'm going to cheat rather than try and do it in my head. I know it's the 9 times table. Oops, 27. Oh, cancel. 27 times 3 equals 81. Yeah, told you it was 9 times table. So 81 miles is what we need from that waypoint. And obviously in Little Nav Map you can do this really easily, and you sort of can. I've never quite figured out in the new features in Navigraph to do this, but you can measure distance here and go, so that's 23 miles. Then if we add another 50 something miles along here, that will get us to the right height. So the trouble is, this is going to work out based on the rest of our journey without any constraints, whereas this is going to work out based on getting to the right height here. We need to start descending here. Anyway, or just after Pig Ave basically, will give us time to decelerate as well.
Niner 304, flight level 330.
It's funny, isn't it? Say intentions only puts airplanes near you in airspace, so it conjures them within a certain range of you. I just looked at the live stream and can see everybody saying it's 81. Yeah, I was going to do the 9 times table in my head to figure that one out, and I thought, oh, I can't be bothered, because it's obviously 3 9s, and then multiply it up. So 9 9's 81. Yeah, it's the 3 to 1 rule, which is 3 miles per 1,000 feet of descent on an idle throttle. In most airliners you can get away with that basic calculation. Of course that doesn't factor in wind, and if you had a high tailwind, your progress over the ground is going to be much further than that calculation allows for, which is why you often see airliners descending with the spoiler zone. But there's other reasons for that as well. Say you're a few minutes late leaving because some frustratingly difficult passenger was either late or had to have their bag taken off the airplane, and then you're late leaving the airport, and they're trying to make some time up. They will stay at altitude as long as they can, because at altitude you are faster. So they can make up minutes by staying at altitude until as late as possible, and then riding the spoilers all the way down to descend more steeply than they would have if they weren't using the spoilers. I've seen that happen. I flew to Germany one time, and we were late leaving Heathrow, and they made the time up in the last 15 minutes of the flight. So during descent, we descended from 30-odd thousand feet with the spoilers wide open all the way. And we got into Frankfurt exactly on target time. I'm guessing they get fined for, you know, being late at the gate and things like that as well. So it's in their interest to catch up if they possibly can. Either that, or you'd have to go to a completely different gate, and then you've got all the disruption caused by that.
EasyJet 073, contact Polaris Control on 124.58.
Contacting Polaris Control on 124.58, EasyJet 073. Good evening. Polaris Control, EasyJet 073 with you, flight level 390.
EasyJet 073, Polaris Control identified, evening flight.
So, I'm going to go make a coffee before we get into the business end of the flight. So just looking back at our calculations in little nav map, so yeah, just after Pigav we need to start descending, seeing as we haven't got top of descent because of the nerf up with the MCDU losing its descent profile, I think because it went into go around mode for whatever reason, so it's lost its data. Let's go and have a look at performance again. Yeah, we haven't got the descent phase, have we? And we can't go previous phase because it happened. It's nerfed up the data, so we can't. That's why we can't see top of descent.
EasyJet 073, expect the RIPAM 3 Lima arrival. Descent coming up in about 20 minutes.
Expecting the RIPAM 3 Lima. We'll call you in about 20 minutes. EasyJet 073. So we'll just sit here and wait. So yeah, I'm going to go make a coffee. I'll be back in a few minutes.
Scottish Control, Aeroflot 6067, flight level 340.
Aeroflot 6067, radar contact.
Okay, I'm back. So I'm being asked the age-old question again. Do you prefer an Airbus over a Boeing or the other way around? I've got no preference. They're very different in the way you operate them. Boeing's possibly more interactive. The Airbus does more to help you. So when we get to PyGav, we will announce our descent to the controller. And when we do it, we'll tell them we're descending on the Ripper 3 Lima. So it looks like they're going to let us do it. Unless, of course, they could still give us vectors if there's no air traffic around. In which case we're going to have a race against time to descend. Let's go find out what the transition altitude is. 7,000 feet. So that's the point we change from standard barometric pressure on the altimeters over to local barometric pressure for the destination. I think I've covered it in the past, but the reason for doing that, for having a standard barometric pressure when you're at altitude, is when you're near the ground, you're most interested in how close the ground is. So therefore you want an accurate barometric pressure that reflects the current weather, because that's how the altimeter works, by air pressure. When you're at altitude, you are most interested in where you are relative to other aeroplanes. So when you are both thinking you are at, say, 20,000 feet, you actually are. Obviously not so you can both be at the same altitude, but if somebody says they're at 22,000 feet and you think you're at 20,000 feet, you're going to miss each other by 2,000 feet, which is perfect. But if one of you has got your altitude tuned one way incorrectly and the other way incorrectly, you could quite plausibly both be at 20,000 feet when you think you've got 2,000 feet separation. And that's how accidents happen. So you'll have heard the term as well, transition altitude and transition level. Transition level is the first flight level that can be used above the transition altitude. And the reason there's a gap there is because if you imagine you're climbing through the transition altitude, and when you recalibrate to standard barometric pressure, the altitude is going to move. So the transition level, or the first flight level that can be used above the transition altitude, will be high enough above it to account for that disparity.
Polaris Control, fueling 90304, flight level 330.
Sterling 90304, radar contact.
Because we were sat using the APU for so long, we're starting to get warnings turning up, and it's transferring fuel. We should still be fine. So if we go and look at the flight plan page, fuel on block 2.4 tons at Gardermoen. I always worry about pronouncing things correctly, and I'm probably saying it wrong. Is it Gardermoen? Let's go and have a look at it. Yeah, it's Gardermoen, not Moyen. Particularly with the Northern European names, I will go to Google Translate and get it to say them in the native language, or look for bits of video of them saying them to try and get them right, because I have made slip-ups in the past, and I always think it's kind of not showing respect to the places you're going if you don't at least try to say them correctly. Back when I first covered the Mac Loop, I was able to call on a friend in Wales who actually teaches Welsh at school, and he helped me with getting some of the place names right, and I was still terrible, but I was better than having no idea. But yes, I always find languages really interesting. I'm terrible at them, but I always find them interesting. I try to get things right if I can.
Polaris Control, Iberia 309er, flight level 330.
Iberia 309er, radar contact.
Okay, so we are going to begin our descent just after Pygav to give ourselves a bit of extra breathing room as well, to be honest. So our first target altitude, looking at the Navigraph chart, if we go and pull up Ripper 3 Lima, should be 120 at Roxim. We need to be above 120 at Roxim. So we're nearly at Pygav. It's interesting, isn't it, that the aeroplane doesn't show the intermediate waypoint there. After Pygav, we do go through Roxim, but it's on the route to Ripam. Oh, so no, Roxim follows Ripam, but it's not rendering it look. It's kind of decluttering and not showing you it. I wonder when we get closer, when we zoom in, if it will start rendering the names for us. And we... yeah, if we go into plan mode, it obviously will. We'll wait and see. We can always work around it. Hey, we're about 20 miles from Pygav at the moment. If we bring the range down slightly. What can we see outside? Not much. If I put head tracking on, it may help us to see over the front. There's a fair bit of snow down there.
Polaris Control, Russia 853, flight level 320.
Russia 853, radar contact.
Okay, so we're going to bring this down then to 12,000. Notice it's not doing anything yet. We've dialed it in, but we've not told it how to get there. So we're going to talk to the tower first, or not the tower, to air traffic services. We're talking to Polaris, aren't we? Polaris Control, EasyJet 073, beginning descent into Gardermoen on the Ripper 3 Lima arrival.
EasyJet 073, descend via Ripham 3 Lima to 5,000 into Oslo, QNH 1015.
Descending on the Ripper 3 Lima into Oslo, QNH 1015, EasyJet 073. So they basically just told us the weather on the ground. So let's go and double check that against what we thought. So if we go Gardermoen, information, open airport, weather, 1016 we've got.
We have now left our cruising altitude and have started our approach to Oslo.
So now look, you can see we're not keeping with the profile.
Fasten your seatbelts and be advised
So we're going to
that the
use
use of the lavatories is no
spoilers.
longer permitted. Thank you for your cooperation.
I've thrown the spoilers out all the way. The idea of throwing the spoilers out is you can descend more steeply. Quite why the profile wants to get down that quickly, I'll never know. In fact, I'm not going to bother. Oh, we've lost the data though, haven't we? So it hasn't got any accurate descent data, so we're not going to worry too much about that. But we'll keep an eye on this. So this ideally wants to be about 16 or 1700 feet a minute. Why isn't it? Why is it holding the throttles at 45? Oh, no, it's saying idle. Okay, what we're going to do is go... We can't use managed mode. It's holding 1,000 feet a minute. That's what it's doing. Yeah, now it's going to go to glide at the appropriate rate. Because we haven't got that performance data, because we had the takeoff go around mode locked in, managed descent isn't going to work.
Polaris Control,
because the numbers are all off.
6863, flight level 340.
Aeroslot 6863, radar contact.
So we've got a question here, can we have some flights in Norway? Absolutely.
2317, radar contact.
Oh, you're asking, do I have any connections or something in Norway, since I have made many Norway flights? No, it's purely because... Actually, I do have a friend in... oh, crikey, I'm going to get the name of the place wrong now. Sandefjord. I'm not sure if she still lives there. I remember her parents were from up in the north, up near Tromsø, I think. But she lived down in Sandefjord. This is from way back when everybody was on LiveJournal many, many years ago. but still keep in touch from time to time via Instagram. It's funny, isn't it, how people migrate from platform to platform around the internet and you slowly lose touch with each other. So we can work this out. At the descent rate, we're only descending 1,500 feet a minute. We need to be coming down quicker than that. So I'm going to throw the spoilers out and let's hope the engines stay at idle. Speed brakes are out, and yeah, the descent rate is increasing, look, which will help us. We get to flight level 120 at Roxim. That's what we're looking for anyway. An aircraft just in front of us, a little bit higher than us. Let's bring the range down so we can see them. At night we probably can see them. They're right in there they are. 2,000 feet above us, and obviously we're descending, they're flying level, so it's getting to be a bigger number by the moment. They're flying across us though. Not, yeah, they're not going to fly over the top of us. I wonder what they are. Anyway. No, the only reason really for me doing the Norway flights recently, obviously I've got the connection with Sandefjord, so therefore Torp, but I noticed that several of these airfields were available on Orbex, so I went and got them, and there are nice distances between them to do content on YouTube with flying GA planes around, so it made it really handy.
Polaris Control, Severstall 4178, flight level 320.
There's also the whole thing that Norway is an amazing place to go fly purely because of all the fjords, and the scenery around the fjords is absolutely spectacular. So, you know, kind of wandering up and down the fjords with a small aeroplane and dropping into some of these smaller airfields is great fun. Especially, you know, up this end, so you've got like Hovden and, oh, I'm just trying to think of some of the others. Vigra, Arrow, obviously, but even further up, yeah, so some of them are in little bays and quite difficult to navigate into, but it's great fun finding them and organising approaches into them. But yeah, just the landscape on the way up here, and the quality of the scenery and flight simulator of a lot of these fjords and islands is absolutely spectacular. So there's Tromsø, obviously, hidden away. Storkisen, and I think it was Alta I flew into with some friends recently. And there's a really nice approach coming in from this side. Hammerfest, yeah, there it is. It's an interesting one to fly into and out of as well. When you get wind across these hills here, it's not so obvious here. It makes it really quite dangerous. Anyway. Let's go and keep an eye on. Look at the wind. Look at the track angle. Oh my word! We've got a 90 knot crosswind. hopefully that will abate by the time we descend a bit further. So we're down to 24,000 feet. We're about 40 miles out from needing to be at 12,000 feet. So we've got to drop 12,000 feet. We should be okay. We're dropping at 18,000 feet a minute. We've got speed brakes. Sorry, 1,800 feet a minute, not 1,000. That really would be plummeting, wouldn't it? It was interesting, on about the Northern European countries, there was a TV series I watched on Netflix a few years ago called, oh my word, it's gone out of my head, about Thor and the hammer. It will come back to me in a minute. I'll think about that while we're doing this approach, and then I'll tell you about it. But it was interesting to hear the pronunciation in the, I think, I'm not sure if the program was made in Norway. I'll look it up in a moment. It was kind of projecting the whole story about the, Asgardians versus the ice giants into the modern day. It was very good. Ragnarok, that's what the program was called, I think. But their pronunciation of, we would say Mjolnir, but they called it Mjolnir. So it's really interesting to me that they have the slight differences in the vowel sounds. And you would imagine, being Northern European, that their pronunciation is far more accurate than a Western pronunciation. Okay, how are we doing? We need it to be at 250 knots. We're already really slow, so the managed speed is being really odd. So we can get rid of that and say, no, give us 250 knots. I should have recognised that earlier, actually. And that's what's constraining us on descent rate, because we can't go fast enough to descend quickly because it's messed up the speeds. So we can be 250 knots all the way through Roxim and then 220 on our way around. And we've got the descent markers all of a sudden. Or at least they're predicted for the altitude anyway. But not on here. I'll have another go at a route similar to this with the Phoenix, because obviously the Phoenix is going to do it properly. I just wanted to show the A320 version 2 to show people that it's still, the aim was to show that it's just as good, but obviously it isn't.
127.255.
So coming down to 15,000, yes. We're 20 miles out from needing to be above 1,200 feet. So we're going to stop this from its crazy descent and say we want 12,000 feet next, please. Thank you very much. And then 11,000 feet all the way around. So let's, while we're descending, should we go and check the radios? Because seeing as it's already gone slightly wrong today, we'll at least make sure that we nail the radios, hey? So if we're coming in runway 01, we want 12 degrees, 110.3. So if we go the radio navigation, 110.3 and 11 degrees, close enough. Engines are coming back up because we got to 12,000 feet, so they're maintaining 250 knots. So until we go past Roxim, we can't descend below 12,000. So there's a handy little chart here when we get closer to approach that tells you the flap never exceed speeds. So you've got flaps 1 at 230, and then flaps 1F at 215, flaps 2 at 200, 3 at 185, and full at 177. So basically we can't put any flaps down until at least 230 knots, and then you're looking for 200 knots for flaps 2.
Polaris Control, Ryanair 8509er, flight level 340. Ryanair 8509er, radar contact. EasyJet 073, contact Polaris Control on 127.255.
Contacting Polaris Control 127.255, virtual 073. Sorry, EasyJet 073. Polaris Control, EasyJet 073, flight level 120 on the Repa 3 Lima, arrival into Oslo.
EasyJet 073, Polaris Control identified. Good evening.
So let's bring the range down so we can see this a little bit more closely. So we're about to come through Roxim, and then we can descend down to 110. Go. We also need to get to 220 knots. So speed is coming off, but not quickly enough. So let's go and throw the spoilers out. It's probably going to be okay, actually. So let's go and have a look at this on the chart. We are just rolling in towards this first turn. And we hold flight level 110 all the way around until we turn in, and then we drop for 5,000 feet for Valpu.
EasyJet 073, cleared direct Valpu.
There we go, we don't have to do any of that. Cleared direct Valpu, EasyJet 073. I predicted this might happen, didn't I? So we go direct to Valpu, go, and we're going for 5,000 feet immediately. Open descent.
EasyJet 073, I can sequence you in better this way. Descend altitude 5,000 feet, turn right heading 050 vectors for the ILS, runway 1 left approach, QNH 1015.
Turning right, heading 050, descending 5,000 feet, vectors for the ILS approach, runway 0, EasyJet 073. QNH 1015, yeah, it said 1016, didn't it, on our chart, but there we go. So we can ignore the the star, which saves us a lot of time. But we do need to get down to 5,000 feet pretty sharpish. And this is why it pays to know how this works.
Descend altitude 5,000 feet, turn left heading 055.
Descending 5,000 feet, turn heading 055. EasyJet 073.
We are now beginning our
EasyJet 073, 22 miles from Ograz. Turn left heading 040, descend altitude 4,000 feet until established on the localizer, cleared for the ILS runway 1 left approach.
Crikey, not giving me much instructions, are they? 22 miles from Ograz, turn left heading 040, descend altitude 4,000 feet until established on localizer, cleared for ILS runway 1 left approach, EasyJet 073. So we're going to simplify that. What they're really looking for is for us to turn towards Ograz at the time, at the point we cross that line and are lined up for approach. So to help us do that, we can obviously bring the range down over here so we can see this map. We've already got everything tuned in, so we can go for the landing system mode, and we'll probably, at the point we get to about there, we'll probably pick up the signal from the ILS, I would have thought. So at 220 knots we can already be going flaps 1, which will give us some drag and will help us actually descend faster. Oh, we got name labels on, let's turn them off. That was boat labels appearing on the landscape below us. So this is already showing us the runway direction relative to our track. So this will start lighting up soon with the ILS beacon as soon as it's close enough to do so. So remember, we're coming in from this angle and then we're going to turn left. There it comes, look, it's just picked it up. So we've got the localizer first, we haven't got the glide slope yet. Does it have a glide slope? Yes it does. The little triangle on the end means it does. It just hasn't picked it up yet. So as this draws in, we will switch on approach mode. We can either turn on approach mode or we can go heading mode. So at the moment we're on heading mode, yes? So the airplane is flying straight towards the direction we're telling it to go. If we turn the heading mode towards the runway, obviously, it will turn towards the center line. If we hit approach mode, it will do it for us. So expect to see the CDI start moving anytime soon. Though we're now at 5,000 feet. And looking at the chart over here, we're going to expect that CDI to start moving. Course deviation indicator. And as soon as it does, there it goes, we'll start turning in towards it to lessen the rate at which it's coming in. And we've overshot slightly, but oh well. Did a pretty good job. Are we still talking to Polaris? I can't remember. Yes, we are. Polaris Control, EasyJet 073, engaged on the localizer for Oslo. And there you can see the glide slopes just appeared.
073, roger. Continue approach.
Continuing approach, EasyJet 073. So we'll go and pull our... How far away are we? Does it tell us here, or can we tell from the map?
EasyJet 073, affirm runway 01 left.
Affirm 01 left, EasyJet 073. So we are still 20 miles out, so there's no point descending yet. And you can see there's the runway right there. We're down through 10,000 feet, by the way. We should have had the landing lights on some time ago. We'll go and put these on just in advance. So you can see we've got a headwind, 31 knots, so we should be able to steer directly towards the airport without too much fuss. You can see the glide slope is starting to appear. So, at this point, I don't think there's much point in having the autopilot on anymore. Autopilot off. Leave the auto throttle on. Press the little red button to stop the alarm. Give the wings a wobble. It's me. And we'll start winding the speed off. And bringing the flaps down as we go. So if we remember the little chart, we can go flaps 2 at 200 knots, which we're about to come through. So it goes flaps 2, you can see flaps are travelling. We're slightly off to the right, we're about on the glide slope. And you can see the standard barometric pressure. We came through it some time ago and I didn't notice, that's my bad. And it was 1015, wasn't it?
EasyJet 073, contact Oslo Tower on 118.305 when established.
Contacting Oslo Tower 118.305, EasyJet 073. Oslo Tower, EasyJet 073, engaged on localizer, runway 01.
EasyJet 073, Gardermoo and Tower, roger, continue approach, runway 01 left.
Continuing approach 01 left, EasyJet 073. I didn't say left, did I, earlier? I'm getting tired, that's the problem. It's gone midnight here. One day I'll do one of these flights when I'm wide awake. Okay, let's bring the speed back down a bit further.
2,500.
We're off to the right. Gear down. Next level of flaps. So we can go full flaps now. Have a little look outside while we've got the chance.
Discover 6699 across runway 19 right.
Crossing 19 right, discover 6699er.
Well, yeah, the wind is twisting around, look. That's why we keep being pushed to the right. And while we were messing around on the outside view, we've lost a little bit of altitude there, so We'll just lift the nose slightly, get back onto the glide slope. What's that for us? Number 201 left, EasyJet 073. So we can just about make out the PAPI lights now as well, and they seem to agree with the glide slope, which isn't always the case. So hands on the throttle, ready to dump the throttle as if all goes well. You should. And it wants us to arm the ground spoilers before we get there. We've gone low, so let's go and gently lift the nose. Not actually climb, just stop the descent quite so much. And wait for the glide slope to meet us, and then we descend again.
1,000.
Approaching runway 1 left.
The wind is swirling around, it keeps changing. Are the sticks actually animated? Oh, they are, look. It's a shame you haven't got enough field of view to see them. Being pushed left again, sorry, to the right again, sorry. Let's just straighten that up.
EasyJet 073, expect late landing clearance, runway 01 left.
Expecting late clearance, 01 left, 073. Yeah, so it's going to be very late clearance, isn't it?
073, runway 01 left, winds 350 at 7, cleared to land.
50.
Clear to land, 01 left, 073.
30. 20.
God, look at that wind trying to push us.
Retard. 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 Retard.
And we're down. Reverses. Spoilers. We're not going to quite make that high-speed exit, are we? Oh well.
EasyJet 073, contact ground on 121.905.
Contacting ground 121.905, EasyJet 073.
Oslo Tower, Nordic 71906, established on the ILS runway 1 left. Nordic 71906, roger.
We'll wait until we're off the runway before we try and contact ground.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Oslo. Did you know that Oslo is home to the
Approaching
world's first
runway
ski jump, built in
19
1850?
right.
Thank
Okay,
you
we'll
for
just go
flying
and sort
with
everything
Oslo.
out
Please
before we go any further.
Final parking position. On
Cross
behalf
runway
of the
19
flight
right, Lima
crew, thank you
November
for
Golf
flying
Hotel
EasyJet
Golf.
UK. The local time in Oslo
Nordic
is
71906, winds 330 at 7, runway 1 left, cleared to land.
Yeah, they're on auto.
Please note the following flights. Flight number
1 left, cleared to land.
123 to Bergen.
We'll go and pull up the map to see where we are on the airfield.
Flight number EZY 145 to Stockholm, departing at 2:30 p.m. from gate.
Oslo ground, EasyJet 073, holding at Alpha 7, requesting taxi to the gates, please.
EasyJet 073, taxi to East Apron Gate 185 via Alpha 7, November Papa, Sierra, Lima Blue. Have a good day.
Taxi via Alpha 7, November, Papa, Sierra, Lima, Blue, EasyJet 073. I wonder where's Blue? It was blue, he said, wasn't it? Lima blue, yeah. So we basically go right, left, right, left. We'll figure it out when we get there.
Finnair 4133, taxi to the gate.
Finnair 4133, taxi departing via Alpha 6, Victor Sierra, L Blue, Orange.
Alpha 6, Victor Sierra, L Blue, Orange, Finnair 4133.
So this is the Orbex version of Oslo Gardermoen. So Papa is the second left. There's the first left. So it must be this one, where he is. No, we're on Victor. Can we get across?
Finnair 2767, contact tower on 118.305.
Is it going to hurt that we're on Victor? I can't see well enough over there to cross over. Well, here we go, we can cross over here. So this is Papa. Told you I was terrible at following the taxiways. There we go. Oh, it's a race. Can we get to the end before he does? Or we get in trouble?
Danish 186 request pushback.
Danish 186, pushback approved.
Pushback approved, Danish 186.
So we want Sierra, which is a little way further along. It's a bit misty, isn't it? There's the gates. Yep, so it is this one.
Thai 7466, give way to the company ahead.
Giving way to the company Airbus A321, Thai 7466.
We appear to have either drones or UFOs over the airfield. The Great UFO Flap of Oslo in 2026. Here we go. I ought to keep an eye on where we are, didn't I? So here comes Lima. Lima Blue. Ah, this is it. This is it. This is our stop. So it must be in here, I guess. And it's the blue lights, I guess, are the clue. And then in one of the gates here.
Thai 7466, give way to the company Airbus A321.
We'll give way to the company Airbus A321, Thai 7466.
Okay, here comes the van to tell me off. Okay, so taxi lights off.
Ready to taxi.
Do we get external power? Can we summon external power to the aeroplane? Ground. Toggle GPU. And toggle chocks. Apparently not. They won't do that until later, I guess. So external power is available. We've switched it on. We can therefore then go and turn off the engines. Oh, I have to do it on my physical switches on this, don't I? Engines are spooling down.
7466, give way to the company Airbus A321.
Hi cabin crew, you can begin deboarding the passengers
Giving way
now.
to the company Airbus A321, Thai 7466.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have just landed at Oslo Airport. Please remain seated with your seat belts fastened until we reach the gate and the seat belt sign is turned off. Thank you for your cooperation.
Well, there's going to be no gate. They're going to have stairs and a bus tonight, I'm afraid. So, off, off, off. Seatbelts off. Smoking off. Emergency exits off. Leave the external power on. Cruise supply can come off.
Danish 186 ready to taxi.
And we can turn off the inertial reference system.
Runway 1 left taxi via Echo Golf November Alpha 1.
And I think that's about it.
Runway 1 left taxi via Echo Golf
For what we want to deal with anyway.
Danish 186.
So engines have spooled
Nordic
down.
7920 ready.
Lights are off. We're pretty much there.
Nordic 7920, runway 1 left taxi via Romeo Papa November Alpha 1.
Okay. So hopefully everybody enjoyed that. There was a few little blips there. Obviously we lost our FMC, or sorry, the MCDU had a bit of a turn and went into go-around mode. I'll have to have a dig into that. I've seen other people reporting it as well.
Give way to the company Airbus A321, Thai 7466.
So is the light supposed to be on? No. But if I don't leave it on, then people watching the video are going to have a job seeing what I'm doing. So I know it's not realistic, but it's done on purpose. Otherwise it's going to be like this. And it's going to look very, very dark. And I'm aware that low-level colours don't come through very well on a live stream because of the way the compression of the images works. So yeah, I can see on my view of the live stream, I can see things on my screen here in front of the aeroplane. You can't see them. So low-level lights don't work well with the compressed images from live streams. I don't know why. It's just, you know, it's just a fact of the way the streaming works.
Nordic 1608 ready for push.
Anyway, I'm going to leave it there. I hope you enjoyed that. That was good fun. I will return to the Phoenix at some point soon to show you what a better version of an Airbus looks like compared to the one you get with the Sim. But the point to make here this evening is most of the things work in the one you get with the Sim. So don't feel hard done by if that's the only one you've got. It's perfectly good. You can fly it and have fun with it. And that's the main thing. It's about having fun, really. It's not about worrying that you're not getting the ATSU commands appearing in the menu, or you're not getting the text messages from air traffic control. Yes, none of that stuff works in the free version of the Airbus, but it doesn't have to for you to still have fun flying the aeroplane. And that's kind of the main thing, I think. I think a lot of people get lost in that. It's like comparing this with the Tollis A340 or the Tollis A320 even in X-Plane versus this one. Yeah, of course it's better, but it costs a lot of money. So you'd expect it to be better. But it doesn't mean you still can't have fun with this one. Anyway, I'm going to leave it there. Hopefully you enjoyed it. See you again soon. Take care.